Photographing groups of people on the street. It's one of the most challenging but also rewarding aspects of street photography. But in our experience, photographing groups is something that many street photographers actually struggle with. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how Sarah and I photograph groups on the street. And I'll also be sharing some tips and advice to help you improve your group photography. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff Ascough. I'm a multi-award winning photographer based in the northwest of the UK. And I've been earning my living from photography for well over 35 years. I share this channel with my wife, Sarah Ascough, who is an internationally published documentary photographer, and she's also a Leica witness. And if you're wondering who Alice is, well, our channel name comes from a quote by the late, great Tony Ray Jones. When it comes to group photography on the street, Sarah and I approach it in completely different ways. I'm actually drawn to physical groups of people that have some sort of connection with each other. And it's that connection that I find interesting to photograph. Now, Sarah rarely looks for physical groups when she's taking pictures. She looks for people in a scene which she can then create a group from. And in many cases, the people in Sarah's groups are just random strangers. And the only thing that they have in common is that they were in the same place at the same time. When Sarah sees a potential group photograph, she will sometimes spend quite a few moments trying to improve the position of the elements within the frame. And sometimes you'll see eye contact between the subject and the camera in her photographs as the people notice her taking photographs. So in this photograph in York, Sarah saw some teenagers sitting outside a shop window while in the background was a big TV screen playing an advert on loop. So she waited for the advert to get to the point where a big smiling face appeared. In the meantime, the kids had started to notice her and they started scowling just as this smiley face came up on the advert. And that really made the photograph. Now, my approach is completely opposite to that. I'll walk down a street, I'll see a physical group and I'll photograph it as I walk past it. If the group is interesting, I may double back on myself to try and get a different angle, but I always rely on timing and intuition and speed to get the shot. That's just kind of my thing. My approach is very reactionary. Group photographs by their nature can be visually complex and quite intricate due to the number of elements that are in the frame. The larger the group, the more complex it becomes. So to make sense of it all, we keep the composition as simple as possible. Now, one of the simplest compositional tools you can apply to your work is the rule of thirds. It's been used forever by painters and illustrators, photographers, cinematographers, and Sarah and I often use thirds in our work. We do it subliminally now, but we actually learned our crafts and our art on the back of the rule of thirds. And if you want to take a deeper dive into how we compose our images, I have a composition playlist that I'll link to in the video description. Now, I've seen some YouTube videos recently telling us not to use the rule of thirds because it can lead to boring street photographs or it will stifle your creativity. Just ignore that nonsense. Some of the world's greatest photographs adhere to the rule of thirds, and some of the world's greatest photographers still use thirds a lot in their work. Now, following on from this, we both try to make sure that any people in the group have their own space within the frame. We ideally want to be able to see everyone in the group clearly, even if they're overlapping each other. Now, when it comes to lighting a group, the whole group should sit in the same light. Otherwise, you end up with patchy lighting, which can look really ugly, especially in black and white. Soft, even lighting is what I like to use for my groups. And on a dull, overcast day, there really isn't an issue. But when the sun comes out, that's when the problems start to rise. The easiest way to control strong sunlight is to work in shadow areas. As you can see in this photograph, the group is in the shadow of the building and the light across them is very even. Now, if you compare that to this shot, where the group is in full sun, you can see how harsh the lighting is. And honestly, if the background was any busier, I would have struggled to get a photograph. In really bright sunlight, I like to work into the light, and this can be really effective because the faces are essentially in their own shadow. But if you aren't sure of the light direction, look down at your subject's feet and see which way the shadows are pointing. If they are pointing in your direction, it's all good. You're working into the light. When I'm looking for groups, I always try and keep an eye on the background, as the background could be really distracting for the group, or it might add something different to the photograph. In this photograph, Sarah's used the background to add more elements into the frame. They're not physical people, but they're faces. It gives the idea that the whole frame is one big group. And in this picture, we have this repeating pattern of dress texture and shapes, and the background has made the photograph far more interesting to look at. And there's a nice connection between the elements in the frame. And in this photograph, the cafe window in the background has allowed more people to be added to the group, but almost in an abstract way. Now, this photograph in Oxford, it's a family eating takeaway food from the pavement in front of a construction site in one of the world's most beautiful and picturesque cities. So I've kind of used the background to add some narrative, to give it a sense of place, and also to introduce some irony into the photograph. And in this photograph, shot through a bus window, the background contains the group. Now for me, gesture makes or breaks a photograph. And by gesture, I mean the inclusion of hands, body language, or expression in the photograph, but in a way that makes the image more interesting to look at. You can have the most amazingly composed street photograph with stunning lights and a fantastic subject, but if there's no gesture in the photograph, if the subject isn't doing anything interesting, the photograph just becomes an exercise in technical ability. This photograph of Sarah's is a wonderful example of using hands, of using expression and body language. It's also got a lot of character and humour. Everyone in the group has a wonderful gesture. And of course, she's shot it in a shelter, so the light's nice and even. Overall, a fantastic group photograph. Now, this photograph of mine, again, hand positions, body language and expression. But going back to what we spoke about earlier, the light is good in all of these photographs and everyone has their own space. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, we would love to see you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the video description for links to all of the good stuff, our composition and street photography playlists. We've also got links there to our zines and to our SILVERCHROME profiles. So until the next time, take care and I'll see you soon.